Good evening, and welcome to the February 3rd, 2026 meeting of the Carrboro Town Council. This is a regular business meeting, and we will start our meeting, as we always do, with a poetry reading from our new Carrboro Poet Laureate, Dr. Amanda Bennett. Welcome, Dr. Bennett.
All right, good evening, everybody. I'm so happy to be here again. So tonight during Black History Month, I've been thinking a lot about what it means to be a poet laureate, not as a cataloger of war or power, but someone who archives awe and tenderness as a civic practice. So this poem is called Laureate of Awe. You who were born for the word, destined for seeing what no one else was willing to bear, and still to cherish, and still to love. You, architect of desire, living luxuriously in cathedrals of yearning, chiseled in loneliness. That cry in the dark strikes bold as a match on hostile surfaces. You are no stranger to grit. You, laureate of wonder, clasp destiny so gently it remembers its wings. War is not your duty, nor kings, nor greed, nor the blood-tipped follies of hubris. Reclaim your sight here in this coven of tenderness. Do not lay waste to the mundane. The miracle of love reveals itself in quick corners, moving too swift, unless awe is your only eye. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Bennett. Nice way to start Black History Month. We appreciate it. I have one proclamation and one acknowledgement. I will start with the acknowledgement. It is with deep regret and sorrow that I announce, some of you may have heard, the passing of Miss Lily Lee Perry Atwater. Miss Atwater was a longtime resident of Carrboro, as well as a former member of our Race Equity Commission. There is a celebration of life for her here locally. It will be held on Friday at the Hyatt Place out near Southern Village. If anyone is interested in attending, I do have that information. It really makes me anxious to announce that news. Miss Perry and I were pretty close, and she recently moved to Georgia to be with her daughter. But you just never know, about how things are going to turn out. It certainly was a shock to me, but I do want to make that acknowledgement. Town of Carrboro proclamation for Black History Month. This proclamation will be accepted by Ms. Anaya Campbell, who is the president of the Chapel Hill Carrboro NAACP Youth Council. Whereas, since the beginning of Negro History Week in 1926 by noted historian Carter G. Woodson, and the subsequent expansion to Black History Month in 1976, February has been a time when the nation reflects on the struggles and accomplishments of African Americans in the United States. And whereas North Carolina boasts many noteworthy names and places for Black History Month, the unknown indentured servants who were free men and could vote in colonial times, soldiers who fought on either side during the American Revolution, and men and women who offered resistance and fled to freedom during antebellum times, or joined in the fight for freedom with the Civil War. Through the Civil Rights era to modern times, North Carolina has mirrored or amplified the African American movements to freedom and equality in the United States. And whereas the Black History Month theme 2026, a century of Black history commemorations, marks the 100th anniversary of the inaugural celebration launched by Dr. Carter G. Woodson in 1926, celebrating a century of honoring, studying, and preserving Black history and contributions to American society. And whereas Black people have played and continue to play significant roles in Carrboro's economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development. And whereas Black leaders in Carrboro have included several elected officials, including Alderman Braxton Foushee, Carrboro's first Black elected official, who served from 1969 to 1981. Robert Drakeford, who served as alderman from 1975 to 1977, and as mayor from 1977 to 1983. Alderman Hilliard Caldwell, who served from 1981 to 1997. Alderman Henry Hank Anderson III, who served from 1993 to 1998. Alderman Joel Hall Braun, who served from 1999 to 2011, and currently serves as a district court judge for Orange and Chatham counties. Alderman Michelle Johnson, who served from 2011 to 2017. And Councilmember Barbara Foushee, who served from 2017 to 2023, and is now Carrboro's first Black woman mayor, and Councilmember Fred Joyner, who was elected in 2025. And whereas Black people have played leadership roles as employees of the town of Carrboro, including Richard Knight Jr., who was the first Black person to serve as town manager from 1976 to 1980, and later became the first Black city manager of Dallas, Texas. And Richard J. White III, who served as town manager from 2021 to 2023, and Patrice Toney, who began her role in 2024 and made history as the first African-American woman to hold the position of Carrboro town manager. And whereas the Carrboro Community Park was renamed the Henry Anderson III Park in honor of the late Alderman Hank Anderson. Baldwin Park was named for Henry W. Baldwin, a local Black community member and landowner. And Martin Luther King Jr. Park, which opened in 2020, featuring murals and plaques that honor Dr. King's life and legacy. East and West Carr Street, named after Julian Carr, a Confederate soldier, was renamed in 2024 to Braxton Foushee Street in honor of a longtime resident and civil rights advocate. The Drakeford Library Complex that opened in 2025 was named after Robert Drakeford, the first Black mayor for the town of Carrboro, and Laurel Avenue was designated Honorary Strayhorn Drive in honor of Tony and Nellie Strayhorn, who were believed to be the first Black family to settle in Carrboro and made significant contributions to the town. And whereas the town is proud to recognize and celebrate Black people and Black history in Carrboro and across the nation during Black History Month. And whereas the town is committed to advancing racial equity and has recently taken multiple actions in support of this commitment, including, there's so many of them, establishing a process in which the racial equity assessment lens or equity pocket questions accompany council agenda items to help provide a deeper awareness and guidance in decision-making and centering equity for community members that experience challenges and potential unintended consequences. Began implementation of the disparity study findings that will inform changes to the town's procurement policies to increase opportunities for minority business enterprises. Offering the Green Neighborhood grants that bring neighbors together, particularly low-income households and residents of color, to implement projects that reduce greenhouse gas emissions and create more climate-resilient natural areas. Expanded social services capacity by hiring a second social worker to serve Carrboro-specific individuals in partnership with the CARE team and the Chapel Hill Crisis team. Cultivated new community partnerships and deepened existing ones. And every December 13th is designated as Braxton Duncan Foushee Day of Service in Carrboro On this day, the town will encourage the residents of Carrboro to learn and reflect on Carrboro's Black history and perform an act of service for their neighbors or the community. Whereas celebrations of Black History Month, including town-hosted events, such as a Black History Month concert series, a Black History Month lecture series, health and wellness fair, senior bingo, day trip to Hayti Heritage Center in Durham, and a production, the Black History Hall of Fame, performed by the Bright Star Touring Theater, and much more. And whereas in May and June of this year, the town will again partner with the Music Maker Foundation to host the 11th Elizabeth Cotton Freight Train Blues Series in celebration of local music legend and Grammy Award recipient Elizabeth Cotton. And whereas numerous other celebrations of Black History Month will occur around the Triangle, a listing of which can be viewed online at triangleonthecheap.com/Black History Month. And whereas learning about Black history benefits everyone by deepening understanding, challenging racism, and affirming its relevance year-round. Now, therefore, I, Barbara M. Foushee, Mayor of the town of Carrboro, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim February 2026 as Black History Month in Carrboro and encourage all residents to participate in local Black History Month events and to learn about and celebrate the lives, the history, and the contributions of Black people during this month and throughout the year. This, the third day of February 2026, and I would like to invite Ms. Anaya Campbell up to accept the proclamation, and of course, if she would like to say a few words, we are certainly open to that. Ms. Campbell.
I would first like to thank Mayor Barbara Foushee. Of course, she called to ask if I would like to accept this, and also the town of Carrboro Town Council for proclaiming Black History Month in this town. It has been the privilege of my life so far to serve as the Town of Carrboro and Chapel Hill Youth Council NAACP president over the last about year now. And you know, when you think about Black History Month, a lot of us think about the civil rights movement, but it's so much more than just that. And I would really like to encourage you all to remember our privilege and right of voting. That will be especially important coming up with the primaries. The Democratic primary will take place on March 3rd in this state. And so I really want to encourage you all to get out and vote if you have not made a plan to do so already. And thank you again, Town of Carrboro.
Very good. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. We are down to the town manager's update. Town Manager Tony.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, council members as well. I just wanted to verbally thank again our public works staff for the excellent work they did during this winter weather. They had some back-to-back winter episodes, and they always show up in ways that exemplify excellence in their ability to clean the streets. They're committed to the streets, the bikeways, the sidewalks, just to continue to make this community connected and accessible for all. So I do want to shout out them as they deserve that, as well as Chief Potter, who serves as our emergency manager during these type of winter events, as well as our communications and engagement team, who's under-recognized, but they're instrumental in their ability to get real-time information out to the public on what they need to know about winter weather and safety tips. So just wanted to thank them. We also have a new website up, and it's a work in progress, and we welcome feedback. We are continuing to try to make this ADA accessible, so there'll be new features added soon for large screen print and language access. So those things are very important to us, and so we continue to try to improve access for the community to learn about town resources and services. Thank you.
A very good update, Town Manager Tony, as we've had winter weather for the last a couple of weekends, and I've seen Public Works out running by my house and down by the park and everywhere else, working hard to clear the streets and sidewalks and the bike paths. And so I just appreciate everyone for all that they do when that occurs in the community. And didn't they say something about tomorrow night? Oh, but they said it was minimal, right? Yeah, that's what they say. We are now down to the public comment period. Mr. Joyner, is there anyone signed up for public comment or anyone in the audience that would like to give public comment that is not signed up?
No one signed up.
Not seeing or hearing from anyone. Nobody. We'll go ahead and move down to the consent agenda. Council members, we have 2 items. On the consent agenda, the consent agenda is a part of normal town business, and I am assuming that no one would like to pull an item, although council members can do that, but I have not heard from anyone, so I think that we're okay. So can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda for this evening?
So moved.
Seconded.
All right.
Danny got it first.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded that we go ahead and approve the consent agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Consent agenda is approved. Town Manager Tony, general agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. There is one item on the general agenda. It is for information only. Council has requested that we start looking at performance measure and having departments track performance. And so Riley Stahl, she's assistant to the town manager, is leading this effort. The word of the night is work in progress. And so this is a first kind of iteration of an attempt to have measures, and departments are really stepping up to the plate to change. It's an organizational change to do measures and relate it back to the comprehensive plan. So this is our first update, and so we will continue to massage this, make it more user-friendly as we go. And so this is a lot of information. I want to acknowledge that.
is.
But Riley's going to present it, and there'll be other updates in several months as we tweak this.
Welcome, Riley.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor and Town Council. I'm so excited. After working with the town for almost 2 years, I get to finally give my first official presentation in
Go,
front of
Riley.
So tonight, I'm going to be giving an update on the Carrboro Connects Comprehensive Plan, as well as introducing the new initiative that Town Manager Tony just discussed, which is performance measures. So while these 2 things are related, I'm going to do my best to keep them completely separate for the sake of easing confusion. It's easy to get them mixed up, so we're going to keep them separate tonight, and then moving forward, we'll talk about how they sort of intertwine really closely. So we're going to start with the comprehensive plan updates. And first up, we have a snapshot. So this is an overview of where the 35 priority projects laid out in the comprehensive plan are, and this is as of October 2025. That's when department heads last gave an update. So right now we have 14 of the 35 projects in implementation, 18 are in progress, and 3 are not started. In attachment B of your packets, you'll find full updates from department heads on each of the 35 projects. So hopefully you had a chance to check those out. I will just give a disclaimer. I am not an expert on all 35 projects, though I wish I could be. So I'll be delivering information that I have received from department heads, but I'm more than happy to take questions and give you answers via email through the town manager later. Okay, so we're going to start with affordable housing. So I'm going to be highlighting projects that have made progress since the council last saw an update. So where you see blue check marks on the screen, that is progress that's been made since you last received an update. So starting with the first one here, we have seeking funding to empower community members to become homeowners. And so our Housing and Community Services departments have been working on this. They've been working with groups such as Empowerment and Community Home Trust, and they are working to develop a coalition of home buying counselors to help our community members become homeowners. Next, we have the next one that has reached implementation is pursue additional funding for affordable housing. Our Housing and Community Services Department is constantly seeking state and federal funding for housing projects. Most recently, they applied for a community development block grant, and unfortunately, so this update was provided in October. We've since found out that we were not a recipient of that grant, but they're still constantly on the lookout. So we have that project moved to implementation as we're actively applying for new funding. And then I just also want to acknowledge the housing bond, which is the fourth goal here. That is something that's going to be evaluated more as we develop our housing strategic plan, which you'll see more about in our FY26 priority goals. Next, we have climate action. So we have 2 new projects that have reached implementation. The first is partnerships to expand access to renewable energy. The town has partnered with Central Pines Regional Council in their Electrify program, which will provide incentives to residents to install solar panels and other green energy fixtures to their homes. So that's how we've entered implementation on that one. Next, we have integration of renewable energy infrastructure and development. So currently our PZI, Planning, Zoning, and Inspections Department is reviewing all potential developments, and they are able to make recommendations for clean energy solutions to developers during that first development process. So we've moved that into implementation. And then I also just want to acknowledge the 4th goal on your screen, certificate program and database for rental housing and energy performance. So as you can see, this goal is not started, and so I just want to acknowledge that. The town was able to receive some legal counsel on this goal, and under current state statutes, we've been advised that the town is not able to request energy data from rental communities, from apartment communities. So under current state statutes, this goal has sort of been shelved, but it's something that we'll be able to reevaluate moving forward if anything changes, or if the council has recommendations for how they'd like to change that goal, so that we still get a similar output. We're happy to look at that. Next is transportation and mobility. So we have our sidewalk analysis, which has moved into implementation. Our sidewalk projects are happening all across town thanks to our wonderful Public Works Department. Whenever this update occurred in October, they had just recently added 230 feet of sidewalk on Roberson Street. Staff are also working on an ADA transition plan that's going to be assessing sidewalks all across town and looking for new areas that need improvements. Next, we have reduce negative effects of parking requirements. This goal actually reached implementation thanks to an act of council in 2023 that amended the LUO and removed parking minimums and added parking maximums in residential developments. And then we're going to continue to look at the effects of parking as we continue to move through the UDO process and sort of best practices for parking across town. For green stormwater and energy, we have one project that has made progress, and that is stormwater management measures for redevelopment and infill densifications. Our stormwater utility staff are currently reviewing development and infill applications they're reviewing all the applications that the town receives, and they are able to make recommendations to developers in that process. Next, we have economic sustainability. So again, we have 3 projects that have made progress. The first is equity supporting existing and attracting new businesses. So our Carrboro Economic Development Department has been working with the Chamber of Commerce and Chapel Hill's Economic Development Department to help recruit and support diverse businesses in Carrboro. So they have several initiatives that align with that, that you should see more information about in attachment B. And then next we have promote economically resilient, higher density and mixed use in downtown. So this is something that we looked a lot at in the downtown area plan, which you all recently passed. So our economic development staff were able to sort of bring the needs of business owners in our community to the conversation in that plan and make sure that their needs and their desire for increased density was at the table in those conversations, and that is going to continue throughout the UDO process as we continue to look at density. And then lastly, we have expanding tourist opportunities. So our economic development department is working with our communications and engagement department, and they are conducting targeted advertisements for all of our events and festivals to help expand tourist opportunities and attract new attention to our community members and beyond to come to our amazing events and festivals. Next, we have recreation and parks. It's only 2 more, so just bear with me. Recreation and parks. So the first thing I want to acknowledge is that our recreation center feasibility study has not made any progress, and so you all might be wondering why. So this is not budgeted yet. It's something that staff will be able to look at as we begin developing our small area plans that our planning department will be working on. And it's something that we can look at in the budget this year if it's the desire of council. And then next we have supporting culturally representative public artwork. Staff used funding from the Drakeford Library Complex to commission a local artist to put a mural on the outside of that building, if you all have seen it. And they will continue to be working with our Arts Commission to look for new opportunities in town for public murals. All right, last one. We have land use. So our first project that has made progress is increasing density along transit corridors and nodes. So this is where staff are looking for areas suitable for increased density. So that's something that they did in the downtown area plan and are continuing to do with the UDO rewrite, the NC54 small area plan, and other small area plans that they're planning to complete this year and in future years. And then lastly, we have increased commercial and mixed use opportunities. This is something else that staff have been really intently looking at throughout the downtown area plan and the UDO rewrite. And so you can expect to just see more and more thought and opportunities for that as those plans reach their final phases. All right, so now that's the comp plan. Now we're going to switch gears into performance measures. So this is a new initiative that the town has started in FY26. We have partnered with ClearPoint Strategy, who has helped us create a dashboard for all of our performance measures, and this is information that's able 24/7 accessible to the town council as well as to the public and members that are curious about any of the projects that we're working on. How this differs from the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is a 20-year plan, and it's broken down into 5-year segments. These are, we really aim to make them annual goals. So these are mostly things that we'll see completed in FY26, or at least that's our hope. And they'll also be updated quarterly by our department heads. So whereas the comp plan is updated annually, you will see every quarter new updates on the website from our department heads. And we'll also share a link through the town manager anytime those updates are made for you all to view. This is an example, working with ClearPoint, of what our new dashboard will look like on our website. So we have 5 priority areas: affordable housing, transportation and connectivity, race and equity, land use planning, and climate action and sustainability. So these are areas of priority that were highlighted by the town council. And so we're really excited to really drill into goals that help us move the needle on these priorities that you all have laid out. We have 51 measures, so it is a lot that we're working on that you all have seen. And just want to mention again, these are goals for FY26. This is just an example of how the performance measures connect to the comprehensive plan. So you can see down in the bottom left, we have our Carrboro Connect strategy, which focuses on weatherization. and how we're going to maximize weatherization in low-income neighborhoods. And then we have performance measurements this year where we have a goal of, I believe it's 17, it's not on here, 17 homes that we're hoping to weatherize in 2026. So this is how we are incrementally, annually moving the needle on these long-term goals. And so now we'll take a look at the scorecard that you all received in your update from Town Manager Tony this past Friday. There's so much good information on this website and so many words that came directly from the mouths of department heads, so it's very useful to be able to take time and look at this. I'm just going to highlight a few examples and sort of how you can read this information and what it means. First of all, I want to acknowledge our categories are over here on the left. This is what you saw on the dashboard. You'll see the 5 priority areas. And then in the middle column, we have goals. So this is our overarching goal that the department is working towards. And then in this last column, you see measures. So this is the annual measure that helps us reach that goal. So I'll start with our affordable housing strategy. So here's our update. So our goal is to finish this strategy by the end of this year. And here's our update from Anne Marie in our Housing Community Services Department. So these responses are as of Q2, so as of December 2025. So they were receiving responses. They have now finished receiving them, and now they will be reviewing responses and helping select a consultant for this project. Next, I'll look at energy audit on town buildings. So this is a project for our climate action and sustainability team in the town manager's office. So this is an example of a project that was actually completed ahead of schedule. So we wanted to complete an audit on all town buildings by the end of FY26, but that actually occurred this past December. So you can read the full update, and then we'll have more information in the next quarter from Amy and our sustainability team on sort of the outputs. And you heard a little bit of that from Sebastian whenever he came and spoke at your town council meeting. And if we look in a different category, in our race and equity category, we have a goal for our fire department. And this is about leading 4 emergency and disaster preparedness programs among marginalized communities. So this is something that really sparked from community interest, especially as a result of Tropical Storm Chantal. So our fire department really wants to be intentional about making sure that our most affected community members are more adequately prepared for natural disasters. So in Q2, they held a CERT training. So this was a lot of our public safety staff came together to hold this training for community members. And then our next step on this goal will be they'll be working with community members and community partners to create disaster preparedness kits. So we can see we have 1 each quarter for this goal. And then the last one I'll go ahead and highlight is UDO adoption. So this is a goal that is really important to a lot of community members and to the town council. So it's really great that we have a place to see quarterly updates. And again, can be accessed anytime through our website. And so you're able to see from our planning department their next steps outlined in this phase, and then also the work that they've been completing in this last quarter on this measure. I also just want to show on our town website, so this is already active and viewable to the public. If you look under the projects tab on our website, you can see performance measurement, and whenever you click on that, it will take you to that exact same scorecard that we were just looking at. And in the new website is amazing, and all the praises to Kat and Eve for that. But that is all I have for you. I'm completely open to any of your feedback. This has been a labor of love over the last year, so I'm so happy to bring it to you all, hear all your thoughts, and implement them as we go into this next fiscal year, and we'll start we'll be starting this month to look at performance measures for FY27.
Very good, Riley.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you were amazing. So thank you so much. You did really well. I do have one question. But when was our last update? Do you have that? Does
I
anybody-
believe that the last update was given by Trish in May of 2024.
2024. Okay. Council members, any questions or comments for Riley? I see Councilmember Now and Frey Palmer. Now.
Thank you, Riley, so much. You know, I know this is a work in progress, and I know that we're supposed to underscore work in progress, but this is like what I have been asking for the entire time I've been on town council, and I feel so seen, and it's so nice. But I mean, it is, you know, in a lot of ways, our job should really be: does number go up? Does number go down? If number go down, why? If number go up, why? You know, I think this is a way to really make almost all of our policy goals actionable, and I think, you know, this is not like the forum to, you know, sort of get into the finer points of how the data is presented on every single goal. You know, like is each graphic representation the most effective for each particular goal? I know these are questions that you are working out right now with department heads, and then, you know, as we continue to iterate with this, you know, I think like, you know, we just had an extraordinarily productive retreat, getting on the most specific same page that I have experienced yet in my time on council with our priorities. And I think like as we continue to live with this, you know, we can fill this out. We can point this to residents. This is just like, I just can't say enough about it. You know, it is a 10-minute update. I think a lot of times people want so much out of Carrboro. They want us to do so many progressive, radical feeling things, and that feels like it should be like a tectonic plate shifting, like, and sometimes we do stuff like that. You know, we do really big things on this council, but sometimes massive changes can come in 10-minute updates, and this is like, to me, exactly how it should be working. I just really think so highly of this work. Thank you so much to staff. I think that this gives us years of runway to continue to professionalize how we set targets on our council, how we discuss them, how we represent those to residents, hold ourselves accountable. Just glowing feedback from me on what the possibilities are here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember Now. Yeah, it's a lot of work, and you got it in roughly about 10 minutes. But a lot was said in that 10-minute time frame. Councilmember Frey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Riley, I just wanted to echo, this is lovely work. I can tell that you put a lot of work into this and into the presentation. I have one question to ask you to take away and think about, which is about sort of how, I think because we're just seeing 2 data points right now, and we've got a target going forward, one of my questions is, how will this reflect when our targets shift, right? Because we want to be giving folks an updated target. If there's a project on here that starts to fall behind, we'd want to see that get rebaselined. Like, how do we sort of communicate transparently, you know, with residents about where we are behind, you know, when we're behind where we want to be, and like, okay, what's that new trajectory going to look like? It's a tricky thing to communicate visually, so that's why I'm asking. But this is a fantastic launch.
Thank you very much.
Councilmember Posada Orozco.
Yeah. Sorry, Madam Manager, were you gonna say something?
Was there something?
If I may.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I just wanted to piggyback on Councilmember Frey. The up and down arrows that are in the Civic Plus dashboard will show kind of how we're on track or not. So there will be some down arrows. There'll be, yeah, so the up and down, what was that? The equal is, see, that shows kind of where we are. So that's very helpful to see clearly if we're on track or not, and to rethink the goals. The other thing is that these would be annual goals. So if there is a shift in need, these goals should each year. So we're starting a budget process internally now, talking to departments. The goals should align with resources, right? And so FY '27, these goals, if they didn't meet them, and there weren't resources or they had to be shifted in some way, should all align. So we're working on that merger. We just have to start separately now. But each year they'll be updating it, and they should all go back align to the comprehensive plan. So no out of the blue goals.
Goals align with resources. That's what's up. All right, town manager.
Thank you, Town Manager Tony, 'cause I think this was one of let me start with saying, echo my colleagues, great work. I really appreciate how easy it is to just go in here and see where things are at. Love that piece. Did have a question on the arrows, which I believe now you have answered. You know, green, we're on track or above. Red, I imagine we're below or a little behind. That little 0 mark, what does that mean?
So it can mean several things. It can mean, well, I'll say most commonly what it means is that a target has not been put in. So
Gotcha.
for some of our, let me think of one, like engagement for town projects, that changes so much quarter by quarter and what projects we're working on that there's no target set for that. Like in our last quarter where we had the downtown area plan that had way more engagement than we were anticipating, we saw a lot of events. So that's what the little 0 line means, is that there's no target.
Gotcha. And I imagine, like, as we're doing this, we're trying to find some way to add some of those targets in there to make sure that we can let folks know where we're at with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that piece. And then the other question I had, and I don't think it's going to be a surprise for anybody on here, is there a timeline for different languages for this document already? Or is it already available in different languages?
I do not believe it's currently available in different languages. That's something that I can definitely take back to our partner and see what their accessibility on the website is. They're currently in the process over these next 3 months of building out a full dashboard. So that's what that screen cap I showed you all will be. And so I think we'll have more capabilities then, but I'll see what we can do on this scorecard as well.
Yeah, and that's I think that's most of the folks who are going to be engaging in this will probably be able to engage with the current language, but I want to make sure that as we're looking forward and accessibility, I know Town Manager Tony, you mentioned about accessibility, so I just wanted to see, at least for me, that's going to be a major, kind of a major ask of making sure that we have the language equity behind this in order for folks of all of our community to engage with it if they choose. Outside of that, again, amazing. Thank you so much. Kudos.
Y'all are making me blush.
Council members, anyone else? Questions or comments for Riley? Shout outs to Riley? Yeah, so that looks like it. Looks like you're done, and thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, great job.
Thank you.
Council members, so we are, and our job was just simply to receive that update. So we're at the end of our regular agenda, and council members, I have had conversations with each one of you about the direction to the town manager that I'm going to give, and that direction is the council is very interested in research and or more information, maybe even in a creative fashion to address homelessness in the community. Now, there's 3 things that I do want to say about that direction. We do realize that homelessness is a multifaceted, multi-layered issue. It's a nationwide issue. There is very high appreciation for town and county staff for their work and outreach. We're talking about like the care team, so rad. And lastly, that social services, of course, is a county function. So these are things that myself and my colleagues have talked about, and this is information gathering only. And so I think for me, what started the conversation for me is, just being aware of encampments in our community and various places that the unhoused are sleeping within our community. And so if there is room for us to do more, I would like for us to do just that. And council members, if there's anything else that I've missed that you would like to weigh in or say, please feel free. But that is the direction that we discussed.
Madam Mayor, I'll just add that I think this lines up with, with some of the key priorities that came out of our retreat. This is something that a lot of us have been talking about, and so really glad to support this ask.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? So we all have talked about it. Town Manager Tony is typing. She has that. And is there some, go ahead, Councilmember Posada Orozco. Mayor Pro Tem, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No, and also thank you for bringing this conversation. I think it's very timely and very needed, and a big thing that all of us on this council has been talking about. I'm very interested in any kind of creative solutions or remedies is the wrong word, or anything that we can do specifically during emergency times, right? We just went through some winter storms, and of course, I also want to echo my thanks to all of our team and all the staff here at the town, and make sure that we're able to get through this and with as minimal heartache as possible. So thank you all for all the work that you do, making sure that our roads are clear and folks have all the information they need. And I think if there could be some research done or any solutions that maybe are used in other towns, I'm thinking specifically during emergency services, right? When folks are at their most vulnerable, are out to, in the elements. And I'm very, very interested in seeing anything we can do on that. And I recognize also the limitations of local government. So all that being said, I really appreciate you, Madam Mayor, for bringing this up, and also kind of getting some additional information on that emergency piece. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Anything else, council members? Good.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and properly seconded that we adjourn this meeting. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. We are adjourned.